Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today is Saturday, March 29th, and we are officially wrapping up the second week of the $1 Million Portfolio Challenge. And the portfolio is currently sitting at $2,583.02. So we are making steady progress in a rough week. This has been a relatively slow week. There was only one buy for the portfolio, and that would be Ardmore Shipping, ticker ASC. Coming into this week, I was taking a wait and see approach, and thus my portfolio is sitting at almost a 50% cash position at this point. That turned out to be a pretty good decision because we ended the week with yet another volatile trading day. The Dow dropped 715 points, or roughly 1.7%, while the Nasdaq fell even further, down 2.6%. Looking at the heat map, the only sector that was green today was utilities. Otherwise, it was a complete sea of red out there. The fear index is currently sitting back at extreme fear levels yet again. It just reflects how shaky the current market sentiment is going into a big event week next week. Looking at my own portfolio, the worst performer is Novo Nordisk. And despite the fact it is down 15% in the last 2 weeks, I am getting excited that we are now seeing shares in the 60s handle range. And thus, if shares were to continue to decline into the lower 60s range, I would very much be willing to put some more money to work in this name. In the case of Ardmore Shipping, I bought this name with the anticipation that President Trump could potentially enact some of the more fringe policies, such as placing massive docking fees on any shipping companies that were still operating Chinese-built ships. Under that scenario, that could lead to a major restructuring in the global trade fleet, and also the rate that these shipping companies could charge in case that a large percentage of available shipping capacity is taken offline or made uncompetitive if they were to focus on the US markets. Ardmore does not operate any Chinese-built vessels and has a pristine balance sheet. In case President Trump does push through with this policy, I do think they would be a major beneficiary in any surge in shipping rates over the coming months. Looking at dividends, the portfolio is now currently sitting with a yield of about 2.6%. Some of the names in the tech sector was beaten down pretty badly on Friday, and especially on my own watch list, Google is down almost 5% on Friday, and I think that is starting to potentially give us another opportunity to buy another tranche in a quality name at a much more attractive price. Looking to next week, it's definitely going to be a big event week, and I think the date to watch is going to be April 2nd, Wednesday, where President Trump is basically setting the deadline for the bulk of all tariffs, and we might be potentially looking at the start of a global trade war. Looking at some of the verbiage President Trump has used over the last couple of days, calling potentially April 2nd to be Liberation Day, I do think that the market potentially is now starting to realize the combative Trump side of his personality, and thus there may not be a political and diplomatic resolution to any of these trade tariffs. Thus, potentially, we would be looking at more downside if it does resolve negatively post-Wednesday. Next week is going to be a busy week for the economic calendar as well. Looking into industrials and manufacturing, on Monday we will have the Chicago PMI, and Tuesday with the ISM manufacturing data. This one will be interesting to watch. We're already sitting at a borderline reading between growth and contraction. A reading of 50 is neutral, and currently the estimate is at 50.3. So we're barely managing any growth. And considering how a lot of sentiment readings have seemed to have softened in the last couple of weeks, In the case if there was any further downside to this manufacturing data reading, that would only further strengthen our base case that the US economy is indeed going into a recession in this scenario. On Wednesday, it would be the big one, the announcement of any tariff actions, and I think this day would set the tone for the rest of the week, if not the week after as well, and this could lead to potentially any a significant market swing. And to wrap up the week, we're going to get some employment numbers. And on Thursday, we're getting jobless claims. And then on Friday, we're going to get non-farm payrolls as well as unemployment figures, which should start fleshing out exactly how much of an impact DOGE's government efficiency restructuring has had on the entire U.S. economy in general. And also on Friday, Chairman Powell is going to be speaking at 11:25 Eastern. So that could give us a bit more commentary that could potentially lead to more market volatility. Thus, this is going to be one of quite a busy week here. For my own portfolio, I am taking a wait and see approach. So while I am sitting at almost 50% cash at the moment, and that percentage is probably going to shoot even higher as I am planning on contributing some more funds at the start of next week, I do think it is very important to see exactly what is going to happen around Wednesday, April 2nd. I am expecting quite a bit of volatility this week. By maintaining liquidity, I am hoping I can stay flexible going into next week and potentially take advantage of any buying opportunity that the market is going to give us. Having said that, I am not particularly feeling like I need to rush into the market, and I would be looking at how next week is going to evolve before I put more cash to work into the market. I have added a watch list to my portfolio tracker so you can keep an eye on the companies that's currently on my radar. I've also included target prices for these companies that would potentially trigger a buy order on my end. You can find a link to my tracker spreadsheet in the description box below if you're interested in following along and also staying up to date on my positioning throughout this investment journey. And on a side note, I am super excited to share that we crossed 50 subscribers for the channel this week. Thank you guys for joining me on this challenge. If you guys are interested to follow my progress, feel free to give this video a like and hit that subscribe button below. I will be documenting this journey every step of the way. Please enjoy and recharge over this weekend because next week is going to be a long one. I will check back in with you guys next week for another weekly roundup and hope you guys have a good trading week. Hopefully. Maybe.